girl in the window. Every night, Liam's motion sensor cameras alerted him to movement in his house. But whenever he checked the footage, no one was there. One night, he woke up at 3 a.m. and saw a little girl standing by his bedroom window. "You should leave," she whispered. He blinked, and she was gone. Convinced he was losing it, he checked the security footage. This time, he saw her, but only for a second, just before the screen glitched into static. He called the police. They searched his house and found nothing. The next day, a news report revealed the truth. His house had been built over an unmarked orphanage graveyard. The girl, she had been warning him. That night, his house burned to the ground. The house that called back. After her mother passed, Sarah kept her old phone as a keepsake. The number had been disconnected until one night her phone rang. The caller ID. "Mom?" Shaking, she picked up. Silence. Then, in a voice distorted and distant, she heard, "Sarah, please. It's so dark here." She hung up, heart pounding. The next morning, the phone company confirmed her mother's number was still deactivated. Terrified, she checked the call log. The call didn't exist. That night, it rang again. This time, she let it go to voicemail. When she played it back, it was just static. But in the background, beneath the hiss, she heard whispering. Dozens of voices layered on top of each other, gasping, pleading. "It's so dark. It's so dark." She later learned her mother's coffin had been dug up the night before. The body? Gone. The watcher's letter, "You are not alone in this house." That was the first letter Paige received in her mailbox after moving in. She thought it was a prank until the second letter arrived, describing what she wore the previous night. "I like your blue pajamas, the ones with the stars." By the third letter, they knew. The writer was inside the house. They set up hidden cameras. For weeks, nothing. Until one night, at exactly 3:33 a.m., every door in the house unlocked itself. The cameras caught movement. Not outside, not from a window, but from inside the vents. She called the police. They searched the house from top to bottom. Nothing. No sign of forced entry, no footprints. Then they checked inside the walls. The police found a hidden compartment between the walls. Inside was a rotting corpse in a chair. Clutched in its bony fingers was a pen and dozens of letters. The last one? "You finally found me." The wrong reflection. After moving into an old apartment, Dylan started seeing something odd in his mirror. His reflection looked off. At first, it was subtle, a smirk he hadn't made, a blink that lagged behind. Then it got worse. His reflection would yawn when he wasn't tired, scratch his neck when he wasn't itchy. One night, as he brushed his teeth, his reflection didn't move. It stood still, staring, grinning. He backed away. The reflection stepped forward. Terrified, he threw a sheet over the mirror and called a psychiatrist. She told him about mirror sickness, a psychological phenomenon where people lose trust in their own reflections. Relieved, Dylan removed the sheet, only to find that the reflection was still grinning. It raised a hand and knocked from the inside of the glass. The knock echoed in his bones. He stumbled back, grabbing his phone to take a picture. Maybe he was hallucinating, but when he looked at the photo, there was no reflection at all. When he smashed the mirror, there was nothing behind it. No wall, just a dark, endless void. And in the distance, something was crawling toward him. The man in the attic. Olivia had always blamed her insomnia on stress, but the faint rustling above her bed wasn't normal. It was too deliberate, too human. It started as soft creaks, the kind old houses made, but over time she swore she could hear breathing, slow, measured, like someone trying not to be heard. One night, she set up a baby monitor in the attic, convinced it was just a raccoon. The next morning, she checked the footage. The screen flickered, revealing a pair of eyes staring directly into the camera. She barely had time to scream before the screen glitched and cut to black. Panicked, she called the police. They found a filthy mattress, old food wrappers, and a notebook. Inside it were detailed notes about Olivia's daily routine: when she showered, when she left, when she was most vulnerable. The worst part? The attic door didn't lock from the inside. Whoever had been living there had been leaving at night. The DNA tests came back. The intruder wasn't just some vagrant. It was her missing brother, who had vanished 10 years ago and was declared dead. He had been there all along. Thank you for watching. Have an amazing, wonderful night and peace.